deal with airplane peanuts.
The cool thing about getting to work with any of the comics who I've gotten to work with who are further along is you get to learn, maybe what sets them apart from the average people that you're working with.
We had Joey, that's a Down syndrome white, the host. That man's neck is so Down syndrome. Do you see that perfect triangle that is his neck?
The green room with Schulz before shows, I'll say this, he does not touch booze before he goes on stage at all. It's super dialed in. Afterwards, sometimes yes, sometimes no. We definitely have fun. It can be a really great time. But before shows, he's always locked in. He'll and also he'll help. We've had joke writing sessions before shows where he'll basically say, this flip isn't working right. What might help here? You can throw out ideas that you have and be like, is this getting there? And he'll help you. So it's pretty business oriented. Unless there's a UFC on, then it's very focused on that.
That's pretty good. That's pretty cool, actually, and that's kind of how I might have imagined it. I feel like the more you hear about the real details of people, their demeanor before shows, how they approach the stage, as a fan, you just think they're up there, they're having fun, they're having a good time. But the more that I hear about how people approach these shows, it's so business-like.
There definitely was a phase of comedy where it was dominated by people who would rack up lines of coke and get hammered and just let it fly out there. I think that's harder to do now just because it's so competitive, and I don't know, I think society has listen, I got no problem with doing drugs and partying, but I think just society's attitude towards mental health in terms of doing that shit all the time at your job has probably shifted a little bit.
At your job is
but the funny thing is, sometimes being really businesslike before the show is what allows you to truly be having fun and relaxed and kind of almost partying during the show. And not to say that means you're fucked up, but just a lot of times I've found the more times I've prepared, I'm truly ready for the show, then you can really get out there and be like, all right, I've done everything, I'm just gonna let myself be free and it's all gonna work out. And so being businesslike is not at odds with being carefree on stage.
Being kind of carefree or fucked up before the show and not knowing what's going to happen on stage seems a lot more stressful than being dialed in and being like, I know this is going to be great and I'm going to have fun after.
Yeah, I'll give you two things on that. The first is a Jordan quote I read when I was young, which is basically that, where he said that he doesn't get nervous when he takes free throws because he knows he put everything into it that he possibly could in practice. Whenever a big moment comes, he's like, the ball may or may not go in, but I know that I did everything to make sure it could go in. So what the fuck is there to be nervous about? Because I didn't fuck up. I did everything. Yeah, so we'll
exactly. And that's from the second best basketball player of all time.
Oh my God, get the fuck out of here! That is insane.
It's not insane. I have a bias. Let me live.
You're an LA guy, huh? You like the LA LeBron?
But that's different.
But let me give you the flip side of that, though, which is a ton of the some of the best crowd work clips that you've seen of mine on Instagram, I've been pretty drunk for. Not a lot of, just there are a few times where I've had an event all day and I'm I'm going to pick up a show that night, and then I go and I'm I'm too drunk to do my material, so let's just fuck around with people, and something amazing happens. So it's really you got to figure out what works for you. I don't like being drunk on stage, but I absolutely have done it and can do it, and sometimes it's great.